So I want to go back to credit scores, and then we can also kind of parlay that into debt ratios as well.
Sure.
So I mean, you mentioned 500. If you don't have a 500, it means you've never made a payment, or
Even a 580, you'd never made a payment.
So what are some kind of standard ranges where people want to have their credit scores in, and what are some other ways that people can make sure that their credit scores are improving, or that they actually know what their credit score is?
Well, there's a couple things that affect credit scores most acutely. It's when you have a late payment, it's how recent, how frequent. Those are two of the things that affect credit scores more than anything else. I have a borrower right now that missed one mortgage payment, and their credit score went from 740 to 555 because
Wow.
the missed mortgage payment was last month.
Wow.
Okay, so that's bad. All right. Also, the percentage of open credit that you owe. In other words, if you have a Visa or MasterCard with a limit of $2,000 and you owe $1,980 on it, well, guess what? That can affect your credit score by 50 or 60 points. Mm-hmm. So you really never want to owe more than 50% of any available credit, and you want to pay your bills on time, and you want to have 2 or 3 trade lines, meaning car payment, credit card, student loan. You want to have 2 or 3 of those, and that maximizes your credit scores. The range of credit scores is, somewhere around 500 to around 800, give or take, depending on the repository. To buy a house, the FHA range is like 620 to 660, 680, and then 680 and higher would be conventional, depending on the down payment, because Fannie and Freddie charges higher interest rates for lower credit scores. Mm-hmm. So with 5% down and a 680 credit score, you might want to go FHA. But if you're putting 30% down with a 680 credit score, then you'd want to go conventional. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then on the jumbo side, which are loans that are bigger than the Fannie and Freddie limits, if you have a score below 680, you're paying big time because there's a limited number of outlets for those loans.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So below 680, you're going to be paying a higher interest rate.
Basically, well, really, the premiums start below 740, believe it or not, mm-hmm. but they're significant once you get below 700, depending on how much you put down. They go away with a bigger down payment. So it takes a combination of down payment, credit score to determine which product makes the most sense.
Okay. Now, you mentioned having open lines of credit, and I think a lot of people get this confused as saying, well, I need to keep a little bit of balance on my credit card. And you're not saying that, right? Just having the credit card, still pay off your balance every month if you can, right?
Yes, that's good for credit, actually. And we see the most recent activity on the card is listed on the credit report. Mm-hmm. So if it's used recently, that's good. If you have a Chase Visa card that you haven't used in 3 or 4 years, that's not helping your credit. It's not doing anything to your credit one way or the other. It's just sitting there.
So if you use it, but pay it off.
Right. A Friday night, if you're used to ordering pizza because you don't feel like cooking, order the pizza, pay it off when the bill comes at the end of the month, just so it has activity on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then would you also recommend people, if they've had a credit card for, say, 5, 6, 7 years and they've never had the limit increase, to just maybe request one so that they have more available credit to them if they're using that card?
They could, yes, they could. One of the other things I was going to say about credit scores is people say, well, I got my Discovery bill and I show that my credit score is 750. Okay? Those are not real scores. Yeah. Real scores are when you apply for a certain type of credit, they're going to use parameters to determine what the chances are that you'll pay that type of credit late. Mm-hmm. So your credit score will be different if you apply for a credit card, if you apply for a car, if you apply for a mortgage. They all use different algorithms to determine what credit score is. Mm-hmm. So those freecreditreport.com or Credit Karma or whatever, they're not real scores. You cannot depend on that, because if you've got a 750 credit score on your Discover card, you can bet dollars to donuts that your score is going to be 710 or 720 when you go apply for a mortgage. So you just cannot depend on that score.
Now, everyone is entitled, right, through some program to have a credit report or, achieve
Yes.
their credit score every year. So is there a place where people can go that is a reliable source to find out what their credit score approximately would be?
Yeah, yes, but as once again I said, those consumer scores,
Could
they're
vary.
not real. They're just not. They give you a guide for how good your credit is, but they're not really scores that can be used for any kind of credit.
Right.
You can go to Experian.com, TransUnion.com, and Equifax.com, and they have to give you a copy of your credit report for free every year. You can go on each of those three repositories, request a credit report, and freeze your credit at the same time.
Okay. So best option, go direct to the repository. Don't use
Yes.
any of these other, kind of things
Yes.
that'll, because then
Yes.
you'll see the loan offers start showing up in your mailbox the next week, right? Like,
Correct.
oh,
Because right. When I run a client's credit report, they're getting offers from Quicken Loan the next day for mortgages.
right.
Believe it or not, because they all sell those lists after you've applied, after your credit's been run.
Yeah.
All the repositories do.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,